So the most common injury is an inversion ankle sprain, and that's where the foot, the sole of the foot turns. This is the midline of the body, turns in. So it's called an inversion ankle sprain. Ligaments that are affected on the outside of the foot run about here. There's a couple ones, but this is the most common one that gets injured. When you see ligaments and muscular injuries have sort of 3 degrees to them, 1, 2, and 3. A 3 is like a complete rupture, and a 1 would be a partial tear. They're like micro tearing. 1 to 2 is pretty your common one. So when someone has injured themselves, there are a couple parameters that they have to be at before we can let them go back into sport. We're looking to make sure that there's no real fresh swelling, and swelling usually is marked with bruising, heat. You can feel quite a bit of heat coming off of this, discoloration, redness, things like that. And often here you'll see like golf ball sized swelling. It'll be like something like that is sitting right there. It can be quite severe, or some people are less, so it's quite individual, but it's pretty common. And it's, when you see it, you're like, okay, there it is. The thing with ligaments is when they stretch, and this would be stretching the ligament to cause damage, they don't have the capacity to sort of tighten themselves up again. So once you stretch your ankle one time, you're sort of prone to do it more and more and more. So people have like, they call themselves weak ankles, but really it's a stability issue. So if someone's injured themselves, like I said, they're done, the swelling is down, we're looking to see that they have 80% range of motion and 80% strength in their injured side compared to their non-injured side. So they need to be pretty much able to get full flexion, plantar flexion, this is plantar flexion, excuse me, full dorsiflexion, be able to invert and evert almost equal to this non-injured side. So those are the parameters that we look for. We also test the strength, make sure it's about the same. So we're going to assume in this case that she's good to go. So because she's injured herself in this position, we want to totally prevent that from reoccurring. So we move her out into this position, move her into eversion. And this is sort of the key thing here, is to keep your patient or your athlete maintaining this position. Oftentimes they'll hold it and then they relax. And when you tape a foot when it's sort of like saggy, you're gonna have a saggy tape job and there's gonna be no stability. So you really have to like tape and then like, all right, remind them. So sometimes you're reminding someone 4 to 5 times a minute, just like, hey, keep your foot up in this position for me. So that's what we're gonna do. So a lot of taping, the names of taping of the tapes that we're gonna put down, or the pieces of tape are reflected in other tape jobs. So it's kind of like the common name. So what we're gonna start is we start with sort of the foundation for our tape, and we start halfway up the shin here, not halfway, excuse me, about a quarter. And we don't, because it's ligament is an inert structure, there's no elastic in it, so we tape and support with a non-elastic tape to reflect that. Our first strips are going to be called, not stirrups, anchor strips, because we're going to base frame the rest of our tape job around them, so they're the anchor of our tape. We're going to put about a quarter way up the shin here, making sure that we don't go high into her calf. She's got quite long Achilles here, so we want to make sure we're not getting too high into this to involve the musculature. This is all tendon down here, which we can work around. So we identify where the muscle is because we don't want to go that high, and we're gonna oftentimes, we would spray an adhesive, especially if they're a heavy sweater, but because for this demonstration we're not going to do that. She wants to be able to take the tape off in a nice orderly place. So we're going to secure the tape, go around once, and these are essentially laying the tapes down. You don't have to pull tight at all. We're going to do 3 of these. On each next strip, preceding strip, we're going to just overlap by about half, sort of creating like a neat, I don't know, ankle sock type of thing. Our next strips are called our stirrup strips, and they're going to resemble sort of like your foot being in a saddle on a horse. And because again, she twisted her foot this way, we're going to pull her this way. So because we want to pull her into eversion, we're going to start on the inside and pull laterally to the outside of the body. So we want to line up our tape over this medial malleolus, secure it on our anchors, hold it here, and pull up, pulling laterally, pulling her into eversion. The tape on the other side, you want it to also be over the lateral ankle bone, the lateral malleolus. You can stand up and see. And so basically it's literally like she's sitting in a saddle, legs in a saddle. So we can secure this one too if you want. Sometimes you can just do all the stirrups over each other. Doesn't really matter. So we're gonna do this 3 times. Now, if this was a 300-pound linebacker or football man, I could probably do up to 5 strips because this flimsy little tape isn't gonna work against his big giant man ankles, right? So you really wanna remember to customize the tape to the athlete, not just the athlete to the tape. So, but because Jill is a rock climber, she doesn't need too much, probably doesn't need 5 strips, so we're gonna leave it there at 3. So you can see as if she didn't have a good foot positioning, this would be totally ineffective. So make sure she's in the right position is good. So this is where, the next step is where it's gonna get complicated. We're now gonna go into a figure of 8 and a heel lock. That's the sort of series that we're going to do. We're gonna start on one side. We're gonna come across the foot, through the arch and up, again pulling her into eversion. That's the top of the 8. Then we're gonna go around her ankle. That will be the bottom of the 8. Then we're gonna continue that strip, come back under her foot again. We're gonna lock in the calcaneal bone here, it's called an ankle lock. Come back around and repeat. So this keeps her position, but the next set of tape is really going to keep this thing in place, keep this foot in the position, in a safe position. So, because we're going into eversion, we want to bring her into eversion. We're going to start our tape over here and pull into the position that we want. So you can see that's the top of the 8 there. And then we're going to go around. Now I've totally forgotten my heel and lace pads. What I should have done is put these on. I got them out. We're gonna do it because we want to keep her foot nice and safe. So you'll notice the tape where it was. See how it's wrinkled around sort of the contours of her foot? This happens. So we have to prevent that from happening. Because what that can do is it can dig into her foot and cause blisters, and now we're causing more damage than we really need to. So these are called heel and lace pads. There's little bits of foam, and they have Vaseline or skin lube in this case on them. The skin lube just helps to stick them on, and they disperse the areas of friction where we could start to damage the skin. So they go onto the heel, and they go onto where your laces are, hence heel and lace pads. Pretty, and this is just really a safety thing. So we'll try that again. I totally did that on purpose to demonstrate the importance of heel and lace pads. So we're gonna pull her, this is our top of her figure 8. We're gonna pull her up, oops. Top of the 8, go around the heel and lace pad. So that's the 1-8, right? Now we're gonna go around the foot again and lock in her calcaneus. Around the back, come forward, and again, around the back. So that's 1. Now we're gonna do it again. You might be able to shoot it from this way and you can maybe see the figure 8 and heel lock better. So we do it twice. Again, if it's a big strapping football man, we'd probably do it more than once. When we go around the bottom of her foot, I need to remember to splay her foot and make her foot the biggest it can get, because when she's walking, this will happen normally. And if I don't, because this tape has no give to it, it will cut off her circulation, cause pain, and basically she'll never want me to tape her foot again. So now we know it's secured. So now we have these things called windows. And if we leave these open, this will cause irritation, and again, perhaps cause blistering. So we really need to cover all of that. She's got one here, and she's got one on this side here that we need to cover, and back here. So these are pretty easy to cover. We can just put a tape around like that way. We can cover up here, just to keep everything nice and safe and housed. Maybe another one over here, just to make it look nice. But now that we're done, we're gonna close up the entire part of the tape job and just really encase her foot, make it look nice, support all of the stirrups that have been there, and really make this tape job look sharp. This is where if you have any wrinkles, any sort of flaws in your tape, you can just cover them up and make the tape job look really good. So, a little window, but it's probably fine. So, one thing to notice on the foot when you do this is you want to make sure that you have a nice sort of X on the bottom of her foot here with your heel locks. If it's too high, it's going to impede how her foot spreads out. If it's too low, it's not really effective. We always want to make sure that she's not going to lose circulation, so we're looking for capillary refill. She has that. We test out the tape and see how can we pull her back into that position that caused her damage or caused her injury. We can't, so it feels good. So how does it feel?
Feels good?
Yeah, there you go. And that's really it. If they're new to taping, we'll be like, go for a walk, see how it feels. It will loosen up because it is sort of a weird sticky sock that they're in. But essentially, that's it. Now, if someone had rolled their ankle the opposite way, which can happen, it is a little bit rare, we do a very similar tape job, except our stirrups don't come from the inside out. We do one from the outside in, one from the inside out, and then one we pre-stretch out, and we apply to keep them in a neutral position. But then anything else is pretty much the same. You change, the one thing is you also change directions of your figure 8 and heel locks, but other than that, that's it.